Coming in at the number 4 spot is the Lexus LC500. Here's a bit of a spoiler. This is our newest vehicle on this list, and by quite a lot, and it is also the only Lexus on this list as well. So naturally, many of you are going to be asking, why wasn't the LFA at this spot? Because I've always thought that the LFA's front fascia was actually really unattractive, and I've never heard anybody dare actually say it out loud, but it is. I guess it's like an ugly baby that everyone is too afraid to say so about it. Well, once again, the LFA's front fascia is quite unattractive. It's different, you must give it that, but not preferred at all by me. Sure, the LFA's got quite the impressive motor, but on this list, that doesn't really matter. This list is all about how visually pleasing a Japanese car has been to me, and the LC500 definitely has the LFA beat with that. Plus, another big reason why it's here is that, to me, it has been the evolution and offspring of the LFA, with a really similar overall look and body, but much more attractive front and back end and better refinements all around. In other words, to me, the LFA is a direct predecessor of this LC500, but the LC500 is a lot sleeker, sexier, sharper, and overall just a lot more refined than the LFA when it comes to its looks, and that's why it's here on this list, and the LFA is not. But, the LFA is a lot more special and rare. No doubt, some of you are going to say, I don't really care about that right now. Remember that this list is all about the most aesthetically pleasing Japanese cars of all time and pretty much nothing else. Heck, I was really tempted to put the same car at the first place spot here, also at the 4th, just of its newer generation iteration. So, be glad for a bit more variety, I guess. So let's continue on. At number 3, we have the Z32 Nissan 300ZX. When it comes to Japanese sports cars that actually look a lot like the classic European exotics of its time, the Nissan 300ZX is probably the one Japanese superstar car that has come the closest to being able to do it, and at a much lower price point, of course. Sure, there's the LFA and the NSX, but I see those as just straight-up exotics also, and not to mention that their prices were also quite similar to those European exotics as well. So yes, the Nissan 300ZX's look is very reminiscent of a European exotic like that of the Lamborghini and Ferrari, but it still somehow is very much its own unique and distinct thing. And that's why so many people love it and appreciate it for that. That's also why it's amongst the top 3 on this list of the 10 best lookers to ever come out of Japan and to grace God's green earth. So here we are now at the number 2 spot. Who could it be? Who did you predict to be here? Is it going to be who you think it should be? Well, without further delay, it is a stupendous, remarkable, and world-renowned mark for Toyota Supra. Ah, the Supra. Where do we start with the Toyota Supra? One of the main heroes of the hugely popular original Fast and Furious movie, and the car that is selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars now for a super low miles and good condition one, and of the right trim decades after its last rollout from the Toyota factories, as well as it being the car that was out accelerating exotics at its initial debut and at a much more affordable price point. Like I said, where do we start? It's got super sexy and curvaceous body lines that are very distinct and unique from all the others, even to this day, and certainly from its contemporaries at the time. And speaking of those contemporaries, like at Homeland arch rival, the Nissan Skyline, it's got a beefy, bold, and muscular look for a 90s Japanese sports car, but not a bloated or huge look, like some other cars of its time, but definitely still looking sporty and athletic. Oh, and you can't miss that big and gnarly wing too. Or those pretty backlights that don't look so cheap, unlike some other cars of that time. And what about those big, bold, and beautiful front headlights? We haven't seen anything like them before and since. But you know what? Somehow, with the rest of the Mark IV's particular body shape and lines, somehow the car makes them work, and they have become so distinctive and iconic of the Toyota brand, and especially their sports cars, the world over. To this day, its legacy is still going strong, big thanks in part to the really well-made and entertaining Fast and Furious movie. But it's not here at this number 2 spot because it was in that movie. It's here because it was great long before it was ever put into that movie, and long before that movie was ever popular. So we have finally arrived at the number one spot on this list of all the greatest automotive lookers that the land of the rising sun has ever produced. And the Mark IV Toyota Supra isn't the one that is here at it. Who then could occupy this coveted place on every top 10 list? Who, on that fascinating Far East island nation, is good enough and capable enough to outdo the beloved and immensely popular Mark IV Toyota Supra? I'll tell you who. The NA2 Honda NSX. Some people say that it is an exotic. Others don't consider it to be one. It seems to straddle that fence between your middle-class sports car and the high rollers exotic circles. Maybe it's seen in this particular light because, especially for its time, over the years, I kept hearing that the exotics of the first NSX's era weren't particularly reliable and that they broke down a bit too often, while the NSX was from an automotive manufacturer who was known for their impressive engineering and solid reliability with their cars. Well, I see the NSX as an exotic and one that's deserving to stand amongst the giants of its time, such as the Lamborghini Diablo and the Ferrari Testarossa. But that isn't even really all that relevant for this list, as this list is all about the greatest automotive lookers to ever come out of Japan, and that greatest one is here at the number one spot. The NSX. It's got beauty like no other, a kind of look that I personally believe could have only come out of the land of the rising sun. It's like nothing else, like it's achieved this perfect balance of having equal front and rear space and distance from its cockpit, as some cars have a much longer front portion, like the Mercedes-Benz SLR, and others have a much longer rear section, like the Lamborghini Diablo. But the Acura NSX, once again, appears to have ingeniously struck that fine line of equally dividing its front and back sections around that center cockpit. It's incredible beauty like no other, whether that be in Europe, North America, or even its own home country of Japan. And that's why it sits at the top of this list of the most beautiful cars of all time to come out of Asia's island nation. Congrats to Honda for taking the number one spot on this list.